Destiny 2 players have proven one thing that I think we're all happy to know. Rebellion actually works. After last week's video, in which Michael talked about how basically there was a rebellion of the Destiny 2 player base and it went to a whole new level with the state of the game that was released, they responded. And in a way that I think is fantastic. It not quite sets the new standard, but it's definitely Bungie heard and they're going to fix things. Welcome back to another episode of the news. This time, Michael's gone for a couple of days, so I'll be filling in. This one was particularly interesting to me because I think we're all seeing lots of companies that are running live service games try to figure out where, when they went wrong, what to do right, how to fix it, how to put things together. And Destiny had, I think, one of the worst things that could happen, right? Because the final shape, Destiny 2's final expansion is coming, and the state of the game ahead of the showcase, state of the game being their communications, it's a couple weeks away. Big final shape, the end of Destiny 2. Oh, what's going to happen next? This is so many years put together, pulled into the finale almost in the Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker kind of way. And immediately it all goes horribly wrong because people just are not happy. Now, why is that? To put it really quite succinctly, the comms were open, state of the game, very much here's what's going on. They were clear about what they were going to do, what they wanted to do, but players just disagreed. It wasn't what players wanted to hear. Destiny 2 got review bombed on Steam. All not looking good for Bungie. And they acted. They couldn't just wait until the showcase because going into that with bad blood is a terrible idea. So what they did was, and I say they, I mean he, Destiny's game director, so you know this is coming from the top, Joe Blackburn, took to Twitter on the 15th there in a vlog on his own Twitter account in his own home office. This wasn't some sort of overproduced corporate nightmare. This wasn't run past everyone. This was him saying, sorry, I got it. Considering how volatile the Destiny 2 player rebellion has been, this is quite good gesture, I think, going, hey, it's vulnerable, it's homespun, it's that kind of vibe, but it is kind of okay, you're putting yourself out there, that's a good first step. He opened by saying, a few weeks ago, we put out a state of the game communication that wasn't up to our standards for what y'all have come to expect from those kinds of communications. It didn't provide the high level vision that we normally provide, really and truly. They were busy with final shape. They weren't able to give it the care they usually do. And he says, that's nobody's fault but mine here on this. Which goes to show it's definitely not scripted. And also, people like a scapegoat, but if that scapegoat is someone they like and trust, then that dispels so many problems. And as we'll get into, he did address problems, and it was an honest communication that left Destiny 2 players, at least most of them, really happy about what's to come. The first topic was the upcoming showcase, right? He said it was recorded a while back, so nothing's going to be reaction to what's happened. Nothing's going to be hey, yeah, we know we messed up, sorry about that, here's what it is. This is already what we've planned. And it's just going to be about the final shape. And it's not just the final shape as, hey, everyone who plays Destiny right now, get excited for new Destiny. It's a thing of, this will be a celebration for everyone to come back. So you can see why they wanted the PR to be spot on for this. You don't want to say, hey, should I play the final shape? And then you go to Steam and see a massive burst of bad reviews. You don't want to see that. So this is a good attempt to solve it. But on that, and this is another good reason for this communication, he said it's for a general audience. So hardcore fans will see stuff, but they're not going to get specifics examples given, strange coin refactors, zero revamps, HUD changes, stuff like that. That's going to be at a later date. Now, one of the things was PvP. That was one of the the underserving of PvP, I should say, is probably one of the things that Destiny players are most up in arms about, between that and the rewards. So in this case, he basically just went, hey, this is what we're doing. Sandbox balance, which is built around the Strand subclass launching, of course, and that launching a new class in a game like that, especially with the abilities that Strand does, that's certainly a challenge. Also, 2 weapon balances per season, ritual updates for PvP, and 1 new map plus reprises of old maps with a current level of polish per year. A quote directly on this is, this approach is not producing the crucible that our players expect of us. So what are we going to do? And how are we going to change? First topic then, maps. Obviously, PvP shooter, maps are important. The slow trickle just is not working for Destiny. Especially because from a design standpoint, when they're building maps, they have to build one map that suits literally everyone. So, and this is pretty quick turnaround, they're changing their plans. There will be a map pack coming in one drop next year, where multiple maps will be dropped all at once, and each will be designed to suit a particular theme or style of play. It will be free, and it will be a shift in production format, so it'll take time to get the specifics sorted and implement correctly. But it is just, hey, yeah, we're going to give you more, I guess in this case, more tile sets. We're going to give you more things to look at. We're going to give you more interesting shapes. We're going to give you maps that are more custom built for purpose instead of, oh, well, we've built this section of it for this kind of gameplay, but that's also interfered by this section for the other kind of gameplay. And I think that's pretty much key, that almost the perfect answer, I think, at least from my perspective. There is a weird bit to move on though. They don't think maps are the foundation of PvP, and it's actually the modes that are. They talked a little bit about the checkmate mode that they promised and the request of marksman style PvP players in Season 22. That and how the relic mode that they promised is a sandbox Destiny experience designed around mayhem. So you've kind of got that like, hey, which version of Destiny do you want to play? Do you want to play the Destiny where you're like this hardcore aiming shooter? Or do you want to play the Destiny that's kind of almost a little more action RPG-ish and it's like how it plays out? So they're trying to make modes for both of those, which I think is perfect compared to everything else. Going on, he says they know they need more modes in the core playlists instead of just labs and Iron Banner. And I think that's great because if you've got modes in your game, why not make them playable for everyone? He went on to say there's small production issues that prevent them being integrated fully. And this is something that I think all developers need to do, except the slight jank. That's what he said. No longer prevent that from putting modes in the core game. Doesn't matter if a voice line's not there, doesn't matter if a voice line's kind of missing, doesn't matter if it sounds a little bit off, it'll go in the game. Because I think a polished experience is good, but an unpolished experience, slightly, is definitely way better than no experience, especially when you come to a game like this that needs content and you're supposed to log in every day or every week and play. Of course you're going to want variety to do that. They're also kind of sunsetting personal MMR a little bit in competitive reward. It's going to be moving to a more simple win-loss rated system, which I think is a little bit closer to how most people expect games to work. You want to get your win, you want to get your loss. It has downsides, obviously, but it's more, hey, we're just going to do that. And then for competitive, they're going to rotate more modes in, get more variety. So they know that, like, this is PvP, this is a massive core pillar of the game. This is what a lot of, I think, early Destiny was predicated almost more on how good the PvP was, especially coming out of Bungie in that era. People were like, oh, this is what we've wanted. This is the Halo people making PvP, and people have like loved that, but it's had significant issues for a long time. So it's good to see they're taking action. We all like to see like a little bit of look behind the curtain. In this case, he talked about how they have strike teams internally. They've built strike teams for specific efforts, stuff that's usually invisible to the audience, like how Masterwork came out of strike team, go, oh, gearing items need a solve, loot needs a solve. What do you do? Masterwork sorted. And then also targeted fixes of just, oh, we need to get a handful of people. Your job is to fix this. Now they're going to do that for PvP and for Crucible. Literally, the PvP devs put into a box, you get control. You get completes, like departmental isolation. You're in charge, fix it. That strike team will be building up a list of things they're going to do. That's going to be approved by Blackburn management and then immediately going out to social media, which basically means they're going to say, hey, we're fixing this, here's the ETI. The other major thing, and if you've been following this channel, you'll know it's been a problem in almost every live service game for a long time now, and that's armor rewards. So they're talking about the design principle. Reward armor should reflect where and how it's earned. Players should feel accomplishment from that. Of course, you want bragging rights. You want people to look at you and go, oh, that guy's good. He got that. That's the stuff you want to like grind out for. That's the card at the end of the stick, right? That's what that is. Meanwhile, armor you buy with silver, which is obviously money, you paid real money, that should be worth it. It should be breaking the mold. It shouldn't be looking like your armor. It should be way better. Oh yeah, you feel good for your purchase, and that's how this whole thing runs. That's how that goes. Then there's narrative armor. That should be the stuff that looks like it's in market. It's in marketing. You see it, you go, oh, how do I look like that? And you do that from the season pass, from the campaign. You get that by virtue of playing the game. You get to look like the dude in the trailer. Not the hyper cool dude, not the rich dude, but the dude in the trailer. And then last, the core Guardian fantasy and ritual and blue armor is just, what does a Guardian look like? Not a cool Guardian, just a regular Guardian. And these are like the ideas they've constantly like had behind them all. But that ritual and blue armor ended up being like kind of completely underserved in a bunch of ways. Same with the narrative. It was like, hey, here's what most people are going to wear, but they stopped paying attention because he said sometime in the middle of last year, we reevaluated our priorities on armor. And they ended up spending more on the armors that people care the most about. And they weren't hitting the bar on this previously, which is admission of guilt. Listen, sorry guys, we weren't doing what we said we would, or what we had hoped to do. Sorry about that. We'll do better this time. But now they say that their aims with regards to the PvP, the trials, and the proper aspirational armor, that'll be there along with seasonal armor, matching the fantasy of each season properly. And they failed at communicating that change in focus, which is why people noticed the ritual stuff looking a lot worse and went, oh yeah, whoops, we didn't tell you about that, so it looked like we were just kind of skimping on it. Sorry about that. So they're taking the Eververse armor from season 22 and giving it out for free as a ritual reward for people who are playing Crucible, which is them, like, I guess effectively just a short bribe. And this is where people are a little bit more concerned. They're just going, hey, that's cool, thank you, but Eververse still has a problem. I think ultimately they're going to have to target that a lot better because it's a game that wants money. And if he turns around and goes, hey, we're going to, on his Twitter account, hey, we're going to make this a little bit cheaper. We're going to, make the Eververse armor not as good, then he will be called in and strung from the rafters or something similar. His last point was on communications, where he just said, the dev team's busy. They want to focus on delivery, but the comms shouldn't suffer because of that. It's a core part of their thing. It's like their priority should be the players, and their priorities were the players playing stuff, not the players being happy while waiting for playing stuff. So they're more or less going to, try to keep a little bit better than that, especially with him now setting he's going to stream the game and accept Q&As from players while he's streaming, which I think is a great touch from a director. It does put a lot of the work on his plate, and hopefully it doesn't take away from his other duties, but it's still as far as gestures go, as far as, hey, we know you're upset, sorry about that, here's my personal commitment as game director to make your life better, then you can't really say much else outside of the fact that I hope it doesn't go wrong. I hope it doesn't start getting, internet things. So the major question is then, what did the audience think? Justifiable skepticism is probably the best way to line it up. Obviously, everything I've said so far has been pretty positive on it, but it is cautious optimism is the name of the game today. They're going, okay, so PvP, armor, those are the worst things. They were the parts that we're really worried about, and the director comes out and says, here's how we're doing those things. One with the strike team, one with clearing up a misunderstanding and providing an immediate band-aid fix. You go, okay, that's fine, but like I said, I think it's appeasement on that front. It's not necessarily a terrible thing, but it's not a structural fix here, right? It's obviously that there's an exchange here on the subreddit that just basically points it down perfectly. It's just the exact same thing back in Arrivals. The community really does have a short memory. This is not a sign that Eververse is going to get any better. And that's frustrating, right? Because, as I said, it's going to be some money stuff. It's always ends up being that. The part that people are happy about though then is PvP, right? It's getting a very clear structural change. The state of the game was a lightning rod. Everyone's like, state of the game? Okay. And then, oh yes, every electron in the business hit that. And they went, okay, don't put the metal in the field. We know what to do now. And that was a immediate bit of feedback and immediate promise from them. One of the important things is that dedicated strike team, because people were concerned that PvP had fallen to the wayside for Marathon, obviously Bungie's next upcoming thing. You'd be right to sort of, I think, fear that, because obviously if Marathon's a PvP game, Destiny 2 PvP's not looking like it's been cared after. The immediate thing to think is, well, obviously the Marathon people have asked for the Destiny 2 people. Maybe they even shifted some staff over. It's hard to know. Their focus is clearly elsewhere, but this is them literally saying, no, we're building a strike team. We're sorry. We're going to fix this. With a free map pack that solves some of your issues with maps, at least the issues that you can talk about. Obviously, when the rubber hits the road, when this map pack is out, there'll be more responses. And here we literally just have a couple of people saying, yeah, this is it. Ben saying, this single-handedly gets me more hopeful for the future of Destiny 2 than what any showcase can do. Long way to go, but a great start. Open and transparent communication is vitally important. And they're right. That's exactly what Joe was trying to do. He sat down and went, listen, I'm genuinely sorry. And I think that's a little bit of a golden standard. It's putting so much weight on him, but it works. And then Paul Tassi, obviously, Paul has been all over Destiny since, I think, as long as I could remember Destiny even existing. And he just says, this is very good. Authentic format. Lower production can be better in this case. Free map pack solves the problem. Strike team. They're not forsaking Crucible for Marathon. Free Eververse and comms. It's been lacking until now. Now we're good. Which is kind of funny because it's not that different at a principled level to state of the game. Same level of openness, but this time it's Joe. This time it's a person. And it's a person, he was reading off notes. He literally had a little notebook. He's like, I'm never going to talk about this and blabber away. And I think that stuff was okay, well, and if he's going to put himself on the front lines, like this commenter says, then or he's going to need prayers. But at the same time, that's exactly it. People want faith in these. This is the thing about live service things. We've seen this so many times. People want faith in what they're playing. People want faith in what they're putting their time and money into. They want these to be not literal investments, but imagine if they said, hey, we're going to reset your characters in an MMO. People would be like, well, I'm not playing. I'll wait until after the reset. And that happens all the time. You could see how with Diablo 4, it was kind of an issue when they're like, hey, seasonal character, and what? All of my investment, I played this for so many hours and it's going to all be gone. And obviously that was the point of ARPGs and the point of seasonal stuff. But you can see the point is you need to believe. You need to believe in what's coming. And that's something that I think Bungie are kind of getting, they've went back and forward. They've had, because I remember so many times talking about going, oh yeah, that was really good. And then they followed up with something dumb. So they are constantly learning, especially as Bungie's taking different shapes. And now they have a pretty large responsibility at PlayStation working on all of their live service things and being, I guess, the people that Sony will go to and say, hey, is this good enough to ship? Hey, is this good enough to ship? do we have the right approach here? So it's interesting that they are like actually kind of carrying the torch on this one. Even though it seems obvious, it's still game director talk to people. Good. This accomplishes 2 things, right? Number 1 is, hey, the game's fine. Don't need to worry about the showcase. There will no longer be, if there's live chat in that showcase, there will no longer be a load of people saying, Crucible's dead, Crucible's dead, Crucible's dead, Crucible's dead, or like, cancel Destiny, just make Marathon at this point, or Eververse is scummy, scammy, awful. Well, they might still say that. But it takes this thing out of the showcase, having the bad PR. It takes the edge off the reviews. But I think the thing to learn from this, if you're not a Destiny 2 player, is, I'm kind of loath to say it, but like Rebellion works. One of the things about, like, for a live service game like that, feedback does work. Obviously, like, be responsible with your feedback. Everyone should be responsible with feedback. But whenever you have to explain to your boss why the line on Steam is very, very red, and what that means, how it got there, and what you need to do to solve it, that's the biggest bit of data I think you can see for, hey, we need to fix things. Unless, of course, you're Blizzard Entertainment and Overwatch 2 gets overwhelmingly negative, and you probably expect that and kind of take it on the chin and move on. Anyway, that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this look into how Destiny has actually kind of fought the good fight a little bit. We'll see how it pans out, of course, with the final shape. One of the most interesting things you'll have to market ever. So good luck with that one. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.